Hey guys, it's Jesse with Passfire back with another update on how the coronavirus is affecting the fireworks industry. Today on the line, I have Peter Rogoz, who's a very interesting pyrotechnician. He's worked in an industry for about 10 years, both on the supply side as well as on the show design side. And he's going to give us a unique perspective on what's going on here in the US and some other places. So, Peter, great to have you with us. Can you just start off by telling us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. Thanks for having me on here, Jesse. My name is Peter Rogoz. I've been working in the fireworks industry for about 10 years now, a little over 10 years. Everything from the supply side of the export side of things to importing here in the United States, wholesaling, selling direct to customers, a lot of business to business work, fireworks choreography, and even a little bit of special effects work.
And, just to kind of put it in perspective, I mean, you've traveled all over the world with fireworks. You're a longtime PGI member. You go to a lot of the clubs. You also go to a lot of big events. You work with the large companies. So you really do the whole gamut of the fireworks business.
Yeah, I've been quite embedded in the fireworks business for a little while now, being involved in a lot of different aspects and showing up for a lot of events and things, everything from, like you said, PGI events, Winter Blast events, putting on various displays at those kinds of venues. Pyrofest back in the day when Pyrotechnico was putting that on. And pretty much any kind of fireworks related projects, I tend to keep my ear to the ground and kind of be involved with a little bit.
Well, that's really interesting, and I think that gives you a pretty unique perspective on what we're going to be seeing here in terms of the impact of this on the fireworks business.
Yeah, certainly. Nothing I say here is necessarily gospel. I'm not saying anything will be, will turn out exactly the way we say it. Everything is pretty unprecedented right now globally. This is something that I don't think anybody has ever experienced before, and I certainly hope we won't be experiencing anytime soon. Initially, we had shutdowns in China due to various reasons. They had manufacturing issues with a couple of accidents that happened that closed down production effectively while factories were waiting to be re-inspected. That was in December of last year, which already stunted the U.S. fireworks production industry. That went into basically this coronavirus phase, which started in as early as November in China. It's hard to get exact reports, but certainly by January, the Chinese government was being proactive in trying to combat this, essentially shutting down China for most of January, a lot of February, as you've known before from Terry's interviews. Which already put us way behind. Those are all pretty bad things we were combating as an industry, and we knew inventory was light. Unfortunately, now the virus, as we know, is kind of sweeping around the world, including here in the United States. And it's resulting in a lot of shutdowns, very similar to what China was trying to do, keeping their population from moving around. Obviously, we're all practicing social distancing and isolation, hence a lot of these teleconference calls and such. But I just wanted to kind of put out some early information out there that potentially maybe fireworks people can work with. Again, it's not gospel. I'm not saying this will be exactly the truth, but things are changing day to day. But it's a good idea to be prepared as best you can.
Great. And I mean, maybe we'll get into that a little bit more. But first, I thought maybe we could kind of just recap kind of what some of the industry trends were before this all kind of hit, where things were heading. Yeah. And then maybe talk about how that's going to be affected.
Sure. Yeah. So industry trends overall have actually been pretty positive in the fireworks industry. I should say in the United States specifically, more and more on the retail end of side, on the consumer fireworks end of things, more and more states were opening up legislation. Most recently, we were hearing of a bill from the state of Florida that would potentially open up the consumer fireworks world for Floridians so that they can actually legally buy and use the fireworks without having a certain exemption or anything like that. And as more and more states open, we're seeing more and more imports of fireworks. The quality of consumer fireworks has gone up quite a bit. We've seen that in that factories are using a lot more intricate shell designs and better compositions to get better results out of fireworks. On the production end of things, when it comes to retail and consumer fireworks in China, which is where the vast majority of fireworks are made, they were running into troubles. China's rapidly becoming a first world nation, at least in work environments and the regulatory sense. So they are following global standards now for explosives manufacturing. That made the supply lines tight and challenging for everybody that's an importer, certainly. But on this end of things, consumers they were getting all kinds of awesome new products, better quality than ever before. Trend in a lot of these consumer type fireworks, whether they're classified article pyrotechnic or actual consumer fireworks, are growing quite a bit in use in professional shows. Display companies are starting to really hold on to that stuff. Stuff like Spirit of 76's Pearl line. If you're familiar with them, that's a product that's available that a lot of people are using a lot more of. Those types of products, those articles pyro, sort of consumer products that are similar to consumer but can be used in professional settings. The special effects industry, which includes a lot of pyrotechnic devices or pyrotechnic special effects, was certainly growing a lot with live events, sporting events, all that kind of stuff. A fantastic trend there. So there's a lot of positivity, even on the display end of things. Municipalities, I think, anytime we're in an economic upswing, people are willing to spend a little bit more on fireworks. Certainly municipalities were willing to spend some money on some large fireworks displays. And we were headed for a Saturday, 4th of July, which we still are, which is always very, very good for the retail end of things. Weekend 4th of Julys are very popular for fireworks sales here in the United States. So overall, the trend was very positive. We had a couple of industry things, hiccups that are always happening as far as new regulation and whatnot. But overall, very positive, I think.
And then we've kind of hit this pause right now where suddenly everything's upended and it's really hard to say, where we're going. If you look at the news, you see a lot of different indications of that. Here in New York, we're kind of under a lockdown right now in terms of all, private business that's quote unquote not essential being closed down. I think the governor issued that as being up to 90 days. So, that's a long time. That's 3 months. That's into, June if it goes that long. Federally, I've heard some different, numbers being thrown around in terms of length of time. I know that they just canceled the Tokyo Olympics today, or postponed it, I should say, until 2021. More pertinent to the fireworks industry is the International Symposium of Fireworks was postponed until next year. So it's really hard to get an indication right now, like how long this is going to last and, what the consensus is on that. I guess a lot of people just don't know. But, I guess without sounding alarmist, what are you kind of currently thinking in terms of how this is going to affect the next few months of the fireworks business?
Yes. So we're certainly entering completely, hence the kind of fluctuating numbers that we're seeing as far as timelines and whatnot. The fact of the matter is, as confident as anybody may appear to be, nobody actually knows the answer, including me or anybody else in any other industry. This is completely unprecedented. We really don't know how this is going to work. That said, we hope for the best, obviously. Initial estimates were, a couple week, a lot of these close downs were a couple week thing. Let businesses slow down, work from home for a couple of weeks, and that should help the tide. Seems that's probably going to be longer, maybe if not for work from home or social isolation, certainly for large events, things like the Olympics, things like major conferences. They're definitely going to be rescheduled for a later time if they can be. There are some events that simply won't be rescheduled because by the time the annual event comes around, we'll be into the next season or whatever. Point is, we hope for the best, but I would say it'd be a good idea to be prepared for the worst here. There's a very strong possibility at this time that, we certainly will probably miss every major spring event when it comes to pyrotechnics. And there's a possibility the 4th of July will be greatly affected, at least for this year, 2020, could be majorly affected here.
But I think at the same time, to be clear to everyone, as far as I know, people are really still going forward in the industry with the idea that the 4th of July is going to happen as planned.
Yeah, certainly. Again, we hope for the best. So obviously, if you have an operation in the fireworks industry, definitely continue moving forward. I highly recommend stocking up your supply lines at any time, regardless of what's happening in the world, just because, as I said, Chinese manufacturing supply line is getting more difficult. And as many efforts as there are to find a new supply line, they're not quite there yet. It's going to be several years yet until we have anything remotely close to the production output or the logistics system that China has in place to actually move fireworks to their customers around the world. So certainly stock up if you can. Keep your warehouses full. Don't stop that. I understand money's probably going to be tight for a lot of people coming up here soon, but obviously this is a global thing. Suppliers are going to try to work with people as best they can, I'm sure, to keep their businesses rolling as well. Of course, it's in their best interest to keep factories producing.
Now, you just mentioned stocking up kind of from the warehouse side of things. What about for consumers, worried about getting fireworks 4th of July? I mean, in some states you can't buy them yet, but in some states, I believe, you can buy them all year round. So do you think there's any concern for actually consumers being able to get their fireworks?
Yeah, I mean, the trend before this all happened was that supply lines were going to be light. That was anytime there's a 3-month pause in the production in any industry, obviously that's going to affect supply lines. We had essentially a 3-month pause in fireworks production. And now that fireworks production is back up, it's certainly not at full swing. We're talking about a reduced pace of production at this point. So certainly if there are products that you absolutely love or must have or whatever, I highly encourage you to still go and order those products from your supplier. Definitely support them. These are small businesses. I know there's a lot of focus right now on small businesses making it through this. Fireworks importers tend to be pretty small businesses. So whatever you can do to support them is great. Obviously, that's at your discretion. Everybody's in a different financial situation at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think? I mean, in terms of people, being stuck inside now, a lot of fireworks events like spring demos that were coming up in March and April. I've started to get emails seeing that those have been postponed or canceled. It's the time we're heading into the times of the year where pyros tend to want to go out and scratch that itch and start having fun. Any suggestions for what people can do who can't get outside right now, or you can't go to these events because they've been postponed?
Yeah, certainly. Well, we're seeing a upswing in engagement online with these various companies. A lot of these demos are going to be available online, actually. Looks like a few companies are announcing that they're going to be live streaming a demo. So they'll still be, firing off new products for this year or whatever, and customers can still essentially attend from home, if you will. So that's a great thing that companies are doing. I think we're going to see a lot more of that. I think we're going to see a lot more engagement online with a lot of really good content for the fireworks industry. Even interviews like this, this is more original content. Things like this are going to kind of spin off, and I'm sure they're going to bloom. That said, if you're stuck at home, try to do all those things that you're always ended up rushing to do. As long as you can get to your equipment, safely with, social distancing and everything that CDC is recommending. Certainly go through your stash, maybe get it organized, get your equipment organized. This is a great time to do that. Take inventory. If you're a fireworks company, I think this is a perfect time to start doing trainings for a lot of your people. Certainly, a lot of this teleconferencing technology can make trainings and stuff a lot easier. There's also APA University. If you're an APA member, you can jump on there, do some safety training. This is a great time to have a captive audience to really get a lot of those things done. And plus, like I say, I think there's going to be a lot more growing of just online communities and fireworks. I'm sure there's going to be a resurgence a little bit. Otherwise, jump on Passfire's YouTube page and watch Passfire and all the videos you guys put up. I mean, it's a great time to catch up on that stuff.
Well, speaking of which, and this kind of ties into what you were just talking about. You're a show designer, and you actually designed a great show for us. I mentioned it earlier, the Passfire Pyro musical, and I think we'll play out this segment with that. But that was something that you put together. And right now, with people stuck inside, it seems to me that working on show design might be a great way to kind of spend some time. You can do that in a simulator. And you can, that's often something that people run out of time on is, you're rushing
Yeah.
to get the show out. So you don't have a lot of time for the actual design. So maybe, can you tell me from your perspective of a show designer, are you designing more shows right now?
Yes, I'll be taking the next couple of weeks to fill up a backlog of stuff that was supposed to take place this spring and summer. We're hoping it still takes place this spring and summer if we can. But essentially, I'm just going to operate under the idea that, I have time to knock out a lot of these projects. If they happen this spring and summer, great. If they don't, we'll simply move them to the next time, or they'll be allotted for next year's displays or whatever the case may be. But yeah, this is a great time to get Finale Fireworks is a fantastic product out, choreography software that you can go on. And I believe they do have a trial basis. You can jump on and try it out. Just experiment, do some cool things, try some cool visuals. I think there's going to be a lot of really cool stuff to come out of this, as messed up as it is. If you put somebody in isolation long enough with a laptop and some fireworks software, I think we're going to end up with some cool results.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the silver lining here is that we might, when we come out of this, see a better quality of shows, at least for the next 6 months or year. Just people getting finally getting to shoot the shows that they've been working on for the last however long they've been cooped up inside.
Yeah, certainly. I have the belief that everybody has in them at least one really good world-class display that they can put on. But it's just a matter of organizing all those thoughts and getting everything straight. This is a great opportunity to do that. Also a great opportunity to really lean out a little bit on fireworks displays, because inventory is going to be relatively light. Supply lines are light. So it kind of forces you to think a little bit more and be a little more intricate with your products and really make everything count. It's great training if you have time to do that, and we're in the situation we're in where supply lines are a little bit light. Good thing is demand so far, I mean, it's not a good thing for the industry by any means. People are struggling out there because a lot of things are getting canceled. But that means that fireworks and inventory that was allotted for events that are so far canceled is now available. So while there was a shipping inventory slowdown, it's going to adjust a little bit now based on the lack of events happening.
Right. And so, yeah, I mentioned you had actually designed a great show for Passfire. This was the Passfire Pyro musical. Yeah, can you just tell me a little bit more about that, actually? Because I think we'll play that here in a second so people can see it, just to get a better idea of who you are and the type of work you've done.
Yeah.
So, yeah, tell me about that show.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to have done that, and I appreciate your kind words about it. It was a very cool project. I believe you and your brother approached me this was 2014 maybe?
That sounds about right. Yeah, it's a while ago now, but yeah.
When the Passfire movie was first coming out, and you guys had just recorded a theme song with the New York Rock, and I ended up putting together a show on a pretty shoestring budget, which I found that I end up with a lot of shoestring budgets, but we make the best we can out of it. I ended up building a backdrop with Ace Pyro. This was when I was working with Ace, who were fantastic in supporting the project. We built a backdrop, and we got a bunch of proximate stuff to actually put behind the band, and we shot that at PGI, I believe in Iowa, 2014. And we actually did it live with the band playing live, which was very cool. It's not done super often. A lot of times at live events, when you do see fireworks, it's like for a couple of predetermined cues, your major drops or changes in music. In this case, we had almost every single drum beat choreographed pretty tightly. And we were able to do that actually by feeding the soundtrack to the drummer of the band, who was playing along with the recording to keep time accurate with the actual fireworks show as it fired. So that was kind of cool. We had to figure out a way to do that and rehearse it and figure all that out. And then we actually ended up doing it again the year after in Gillette, Wyoming. So 2015 for PGI as well. That time we had a little better budget, and we actually used some truss and stuff behind the band and cleaned it up a little bit. It was very cool. A lot of people contributed to getting that show done. I appreciate everybody doing that. I appreciate you guys for letting me do that. It was a very cool project.
Well, yeah, thank you. It was a lot of fun to work on that. I think we'll play that at the end of this segment here. But before we do, was there anything else you wanted to talk about today?
Yeah, just wanted to let people know, again, hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. This is unprecedented times. Do what you can to help your families, obviously, help your neighbors. Please follow these guidelines, social distancing, all that. As far as trends go, Nobody really has an answer to any of this stuff. All we do know is that nations that had slowed this virus down early on, namely Hong Kong is a region that had that, they are again seeing a slight uptick. So, a couple of weeks is maybe not enough time. This may go on longer. Definitely, everybody's in the same boat. So work with your supplier, work with your clients, work with whoever you might be working with, and just do your best to reschedule. Certainly the fireworks industry is still going to be here. I think when everybody's done, we're all going to be really ready to celebrate. So there's going to be some big fireworks shows and some big celebrations out there. So eventually it's going to be good. But for now, we just need to hang on and do the best we can with the information we have.
Well, I think we're all looking forward to seeing this, resolved as best as it can be as soon as possible. But in the meantime, great advice. Working together, I think, is very important, and staying healthy. So, well, thank you, Peter.
Certainly.
Really appreciate it speaking with you today, and looking forward to talking to you again. Hopefully, we'll have you on again pretty soon. And in the meantime, we'll play that Passfire Pyro musical that you choreographed in 2014 and 2015.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jesse.
All right. Thanks, Peter.